Second of all, since roughly 2006-2007, under the Hu Jintao administration, China rolled out a series of ever more comprehensive industrial policies with the stated aim of promoting indigenous innovation in China, promoting import substitution, and increasing Chinese firms' control over what are viewed as core technologies, boosting the domestic market share of those companies, boosting the global market share of those companies in a way violative of the international rules to which China had agreed in the WTO and other arrangements. The nature and the scale of the industrial policies is almost unfathomable. If you look at just one tech sector, that is microchips, the estimates are that China will subsidize the creation of a much more sophisticated sector than they have now, to the tune of somewhere between $170 billion in subsidies to $240 billion in subsidies. But there are 15 other tech sectors. So the nature, the scale of the state intervention is quite extraordinary, unprecedented. And second of all, apart from scale, China has imposed an array of policy instruments designed to favor domestic firms, designed to discriminate against foreign firms. I think you're all aware of these, including forced technology transfer, heavy subsidization, the recreation of state champions, so on and so forth. They've been outlined repeatedly in the press and by the administration. Third, as Susan mentioned, in the lead up to WTO accession and following WTO accession, China was on a convergent course toward market-based economic norms. And beginning in 06-07, you saw that convergent strategy and model beginning to diverge. Under Xi Jinping, of course, that divergence has been accelerated, and what you see is a reimposition of a statist model in China. Reform and opening, which began to sputter in 2006-2007, then stalled, and until very, very recently has been entirely absent from the Chinese policy agenda. And last, of course, the U.S. and China are both openly strategic rivals. U.S. made that declaration formally in 2017. It had been the case for a while. And for China, the U.S. has always been the bogey, right? It has been the marker against which China had to proceed, and that's been going on for probably a decade. So Chinese companies are much more competitive in strategic sectors. At the same time, China's economic model is divergent from market-based norms, heavily dependent on state intervention, state control, state direction, and this really has led to the impasse that we see today.